Hi to all, welcome to this new tutorial on ixCube. Today we will talk about simple entities like points and curves. The first entity that we will input is the point. We click on this tool here, create point. Create point, we click anywhere in the screen and we input a point. If you don't see anything, the reason is the point is quite small. So you see, zooming, we see this point. Now, points have a dimension, like any other entity, and this can be changed in Tools, Settings, Viewport, and this is the point size in millimeters. So if your point size is very small, maybe you're not able to see it. If I put this 500 millimeters and I create another point, you see, that's more easy to see those points. So here it is. Create another point, and that's up. Recalling the create point, we see here from the prompt, the software is waiting for 3 coordinates. Those are the coordinates of the point in the current user coordinate system. We can input directly here the coordinates of the point. That's 2, 2. So this point here is at position 2 for the x and 2 for the y. And we can recall again and input a new point 5, 5, 5. And you see here, this point here is at 5, 5 with an elevation of 5. So if we go into isometric, here it is. Points are very simple, but they are very useful. If we go into the panels and unhide the property panel, we can select the point, and in the properties we can see the 3 coordinates of that point. So it's a very simple entity, but quite useful for investigating positions when you have a complex model. Points can be selected and can be dragged to new positions, like this. So, for example, if I have an object like that, and we would like to know the coordinates of one of these points, we can select a point, drag it at the corner of the edge, and then we see here the coordinates of that corner point. Let's delete these points. Another tool that we have is create a number of points over a curve. The command prompts us, do we want to make by a number of points or by distance? So by number of points, I want 6 points, and now is prompting select the curve to tessellate. We select this one, and so you see we have a number of points here. Let's do it again. Select 6 points, and we have made 6 points over these. If we recall the tessellate curve again, we want it by distance, and let's import 0.5 meters. Select the curve, this edge, and these points are at 0.5 meters each other. Let's see if it's true. We leave active only the snap to point, and we recall the make dimension from this point here to this point here, and we read it's 500 millimeters. We have seen that all the inputs are in meters in my case, But if you want to change the units, you can go into settings and change the input unit. We have millimeters, centimeters, or if you like imperial units, you can choose between inches, feet and yards. So if I select inches, and now I use again tessellate curve, distance, each 5 inches, select this curve, has a huge amount of points. Tools, let's change the size of the points. Point size 10 millimeters, and here we see all these points. The distance now should be 5 inches. I will use the tool dimension again, dimension from here to here. So we are reading 127 millimeters. The question now could be why this is in millimeters when we are using inches as the input. This can be explained in a very easy way. If we go to the dimension tools, in the style, they have the units with which we want to print the dimension. In this case, the unit is set to millimeters. Let's make a new one, a new style, and call it inches. In the text style, I want to print the units in inches. So if I make another dimension from these 2 points, here it is, it's 5 inches. As we can see, this dimension style is using the inches style. We read it here. If we select on this other one, this one is using the default style. We can change it to the inches style, and again it's 5 inches. So this was the point tool. Let's make a new project. So we have seen that each time a coordinate is needed from the prompt, we can input the 3 coordinates inside the input window. The most simple curve is a line, the starting point and the end point. Again, line, we can digit the start point 5,5. Remember that we are in inches, so that's 5.5 inches to 50,50. And we have input this point by coordinates. I'll go back to settings and put it to meters, since I'm not used to use inches. And we have input this line. When it comes to input lines, we can specify the first point, then we can specify in the input a length 10. Now the line is fixed to 10 units. So the input is waiting for the second point. If I activate the end, I can snap here and we see that the line goes through that point. Let's do it again. Create a line from this point, 3 meters, and so this is 3 meters. If we click shift, the line is constrained to be orthogonal, so we can input a 3 meter horizontal line, or if I make another one 5 and shift, this is a vertical, horizontal, vertical 5 meter line. So we have seen a constraint over the input of a line, the length constraint. Another constraint that we have is we input minus the angle constraint. So I will input 15 degrees. Now the line moves at 15 degrees. So we can go, for example, align with this point, and this angle is 15 degrees. Let's make an horizontal line, and let's use the tool measure angle, this one. This is the center point, this one here, this one, and measure here. You see it's 15 degrees. So we have seen input line by constraining its length, and input line by constraining its angle. Another useful input is the smart tracker. The smart tracker is active if this option is down here, ST, that stands for smart tracking. So if I start drawing a line, draw a line from this point here, I would align it with this one, so you just stay a few seconds, 1 second over a point, and we have a smart tracking, so we can snap to this point then. So these two are aligned. Let's make another one. This one here, I would like to align it with this point, so that's it. This is the smart tracking option. Another useful input when working in a three-dimensional space is the vertical line. The vertical line asks for a point and then starts drawing a line perpendicular to the current user coordinate system. So you can digit, for example, 3, and that's it, a line of 3 meters. Let's see if that's true. Polyline. Recalling the polyline tool, we see we have a few options in the toolbar prompt. The first one is line arch. We can undo the last input point and to close the polyline, and close end to finish the input, and close to finish the input and close the polyline. So let's start drawing a polyline like that. We can input the length, remember, 3 meters. Shift, we go ortho, and then 2.5 meters, 6 meters, and then like that. We would like to input an arch, and now we would like to close. We would like to finish the input and close here, so we just click on C to close, and so we have input this polyline. Let's try again. If I use a point as my starting point, I can go down 6 meters like that, and C to close. So this is the polyline input. Let's do the last one. Polyline, and now if I press undo, I can go back and make another one. C to close. Another simple two-dimensional curve is the circle. The circle has sub-options by center or radius, the center point and the radius, 2 meters. Again by diameter, first point 2 meters, this makes the diameter of 2 meters. And the last option is by 3 points, first point, second point, and third point. Let's see if this is true. Measure diameter, this one here, This is 4 meters, 2 meters, and 5.2. This was made random. So we have seen the circle tool, the arch tool. The arch tool has a lot of sub-options, but generally they all want a 3-point input. So for example, start point, end point, and on. The first point, the second point, and a point on the curve. The first option is the center point, then the start and the end point. The third option is start point, on point, and then end point. That means the start point, a point on the curve, and the end point. And the last one is the start point, the end point, and the start direction. Start point, end point, and the tangent at the start point. Create an ellipse. Create an ellipse by major radius and the small radius, like that. Or create an ellipse by a rectangle. Create a polygon, number of sides, 6 sides. That's my polygon. Or again, create a polygon. Create a polygon. I want to input by side, so the first edge is the side of the polygon. The last input one is an URBS curve. An URBS follows the points that we input, and we can close and end the input with a C. That makes a closed URBS curve. Or we can input again a curve like this, and then E, end input. You can see that all the curves, once they have been created, they can be easily modified by just selecting and moving the grips. This is true for lines, rectangles, circles. So any curve we have, we can select the curve. We see the grips at the point of the curve, and we can just move these grips to edit our curve, like this. The circle has special grips. Moving the center moves the center of the circle, and we can change the radius by moving the other grip point. That's for all. Thank you for watching.